Hey guys, C here, and thank you so much for joining me in today's video. Now today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the easiest tips and tricks to raise your own beautiful Philodendron Florida Green. Now this is a somewhat rare hybrid philodendron. So this is a cross between a Philodendron squamiferum and Petitum. Is that right? Petitum. It's a climbing philo, so that makes it a perfect option for a moss pole or a trellis. As the leaves mature, the leaves become more lobed and they show more of the stems show more of their red tint. Now I have several categories to go over, so let's get into it. Let's start off with light. The Philodendron Florida Green will show its best color in bright indirect light. Now it can tolerate lower levels of light, but you do want to keep it out of direct sunlight. Direct sunlight is going to scorch its leaves. So if your only option is direct sunlight, make sure that you filter that light with maybe some blinds or some sheer curtain. My plant is located in a northwest facing window, so it's not the best light. It gets direct afternoon sunlight, but that is sheared down with blinds. And then to supplement the morning sun that it doesn't get, I have grow lights. My grow lights are full spectrum and they are on a 12-hour timer. I've had my plant now for a little over a year, and this is probably about 3 times the size it was when I originally purchased it. So definitely consider artificial lights to supplement your natural light if you don't have it. Next is water. So this plant is not going to tolerate wet feet. You want to keep the soil moist but not soggy. So I like to water mine when the top inch is dry, and I give it a nice thorough watering. I make sure that all the water drains out. I don't want it sitting in wet feet because you risk the possibility of root rot if your plant is sitting in wet soil for an extended period of time. Remember, moist is key. In continuance with water, let's talk about that potting medium, because that is going to help you not retain so much water. You want rich, loose potting soil that drains well but retains some of its moisture. If you're new to my channel, I create my own recipe. So as far as my philodendrons go, in particular my Florida Green, I use 2/3 peat moss, 1/3 perlite, and a handful of orchid bark. Now that orchid bark is ideal for aeration. You still want to make sure that your roots get plenty of air, plenty of oxygen. Next is temperature. Now, keep in mind this is a tropical plant, so 65 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal. Avoid drafts and direct air from your heating and cooling element. Next up is humidity. Once again, this is a tropical plant, so you want to keep your humidity around about 40 to 60%. I know as we head into winter season, it's a little harder. Our atmospheres are a little drier, so definitely supplement your humidity by bunching a lot of plants together. Or you can use a humidifier. Now, I would avoid misting your plant. I'm not a fan of misting. I think you invite bacteria and pests when you mist. It's also a very fleeting solution for humidity. The humidity lasts for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes and then it'll start to drop rapidly. So instead, consider a humidifier. Consider bunching plants around. That's more economical, easy on your pockets, because you don't have to spend any money on any equipment. Or you can use a pebble tray. Pebble trays are great as well. I've used those in the past now, but with my plants in particular, since I have a handful of them now, I use a humidifier. It's just easy. I don't have to worry about it. Now, when it comes to humidity, make sure if you are in a closed space, make sure that your humidity is not too high, or you give your environment some space to breathe naturally. That is because with those smaller spaces, the higher your humidity, the greater the risk of mold in your room or your atmosphere, okay? So if you're gonna run your humidifier on up high for a while, give it a break, maybe break every few days, maybe run your humidifier high for a certain amount of time each day, and then give it a rest overnight, or maybe run it on blast for a day and then cool off for the next few days, not running your humidifier. Now, with proper humidity, this plant is going to vine very well. Next is fertilization. So for best results, I recommend using a general all-purpose organic fertilizer, a liquid fertilizer that is diluted with water. I will insert a clip of the plant food or the fertilizer that I use. I recommend using it at least once a month during your growing season. Now, if you've created an environment like mine where I have artificial full spectrum grow lights supplementing the natural light as well as a humidifier, and so I've created an environment where I have a growing season all year long, then you can use it every watering or every other watering. The one that I use is very gentle. I've never experienced any scorched leaves, never experienced any rapid decline in my plants. I've noticed that it's been very healthy for my plants, all of my plants. So my Hoyas, my Philodendrons, my Pothos, the list goes on. I've never had any issues with it. I highly recommend it. It's a godsend. The only caveat to the one that I use is that it does have fish emulsion. So it stinks. It is rank, okay? But the smell dissipates pretty quickly, maybe in about 20 or 30 minutes. You don't even know that it smelled like booty beforehand, okay? So keep that one in mind. Pruning is essential. You want to make sure that you remove any damaged or dead foliage to keep your plant looking healthy, but it also promotes new growth. For this plant in particular, since it is a bit rare, propagation is going to be key. Now in my area, I'm here in North Carolina. I've stumbled across this plant one time, and when I saw it, I purchased it. I didn't realize that it was rare until I started doing a little bit of research on it. So propagation is going to be key with this, because you can't find it as readily accessible. You can find it online. It's going to come with a healthy price tag online. So to propagate, you can divide the root ball. You can do stem cuttings below the node and pop those in water, or you can pop those stem cuttings in a root hormone and create your own makeshift dome with a clear plastic bag. Now, like all houseplants, your Philodendron Florida Green is going to be prone to your common pests such as spider mites, thrips, mealybug, scale, and of course your fungus gnats. You can control your pests with an insecticidal soap. I use neem oil. I neem oil my plants. I try to neem oil my plants once a month, no less than once a season. Now when I use my neem oil, not only am I cleaning the top of my leaves so I get a nice beautiful shine and encouraging photosynthesis for the plant to continue to grow, but I'm also using neem oil on the back of the leaf where you're going to find your common pests feasting, breeding, living on the back of your leaf on your plant, just killing it, okay? So make sure when you use that neem oil, you're spraying the top and the back of the leaf. And keep in mind, it's best to use that insecticidal soap as often as you can. I suggest once a month, but once again, you know, we're out here living life, right? So if you can't get to it once a month, try to at least do it once a season. So that's 4 times a year. Keep in mind, insecticidal soap does not cure your pests, it prevents pests. So if you have those pests, you have to do something totally different. So to avoid the chaos of pests, especially if you have a large collection such as me or even larger, just add your pest prevention to your routine maintenance. Lastly is troubleshooting. So over the course of the last year, I've noticed a few things with my plant. I want to share with you how to troubleshoot them. If you are experiencing yellow leaves rapidly on your plant, that means it is either overwatered or there's too much sunlight. Drooping leaves are a sign of overwatered or underwatered. And lastly, brown tips is overwatered or your environment is too dry. So increase the humidity a little bit and try to get on a water schedule. If you can't get your watering schedule down pat, keep in mind that potting medium is going to help you as well. So yellow leaves, too little or too much light or overwatering, drooping leaves, under or overwatered, brown tips, dry environment or underwatered. It's a lot. All right, so those are my tips and tricks to help you grow your own beautiful Philodendron Florida Green. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, definitely make sure that you subscribe and come back for more planting tips and tricks. Share with me if you have this philo in your collection as well. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, definitely give me a thumbs up. As always, I love you for watching. Peace.